Browns head coach Todd Monken is getting very, very sick of the anybody but Shedeur mafia within the Cleveland media already. Todd Monken went off on Mary Kay. He's already sick of her. Browns reporters are exposing themselves because the Browns are currently having a fantastic draft and they are still talking about, oh, we need to find a quarterback in this draft.
Experts are going off on the haters, claiming Todd Monken executed this draft for Shedeur Sanders' success. And honestly, the more you look at it, the harder it gets to call this random. Because the Browns did not just walk into this draft and throw darts at a board. They went offensive tackle, they went wide receiver. They added protection, they added speed, they added quickness, they added players who make life easier for a quarterback. And here's the part nobody is talking about. Whether they say Shedeur's name out loud or not, the draft board is starting to say it for them. Because when a team takes Spencer Fano up front and then turns around and adds Concepcion as a playmaker, that is not just best player available talk. That is offensive support. That is the structure. That is an offensive front office saying our defense is already good enough to keep us in games, but our offense needs to stop being the reason we lose them. And if Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback they believe can eventually run this thing, then Todd Monken just helped give him the exact kind of pieces a young quarterback needs.
I think what you see is elite playmaking ability. That's in him. You've seen it. We've seen it. You saw it in college. You saw it on tape last year. Sure, there's a ways to go, but what rookie isn't? I mean, what first-year player doesn't have a long way to go? So I'm excited to get started with him and all of our quarterbacks and all of our players.
This is where it gets dangerous, because the haters want to act like every Shedeur conversation is just fan hype. But now analysts are starting to say the same thing fans have been saying. Chase Daniel looked at the Browns' approach and basically said the pattern is clear. Offensive tackle first, receiver next, pieces around a young quarterback. That is not a coincidence. That is a plan. And once former quarterbacks start pointing that out, the conversation changes from fans are reaching to maybe Cleveland is actually showing us something. The Browns knew their Achilles heel was offense. That defense can already carry them into ugly games. That defense can keep scores low. That defense can make quarterbacks uncomfortable. But the offense has to give them something. It does not even have to be a 35-point machine every week. Like TJ Hushmanzada pointed out, if this team can just get around 17 to 21 points consistently, they can win a lot of games. That sounds basic, but for Cleveland, that might be the difference between another frustrating season and a real playoff push.
You didn't get Ty Simpson, you didn't get Kyler Murray, you didn't get Malik Willis, you didn't get any of these quarterbacks y'all kept talking about all off season, and now you're acting desperate and thirsty for them to draft some replacement when it's nothing but a developmental pick if there's one to be had. Mary Kay Cabot, Tony Grossi exposed.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. The Browns are not trying to build a cute offense. They're trying to build a functional one. Protect the quarterback, give him quick answers, use motion, use spacing. Let the defense do its job. That is a realistic identity. And for Shedeur Sanders, that could be huge because he doesn't need to walk in and save the whole franchise by himself. He needs a system that lets him play fast, stay protected, and grow without taking punishment every other snap. That is where Spencer Fano becomes important. Fano is not the sexy pick. He's not the pick that makes casual fans scream on draft night, but serious football people understand why he matters. He's around 6'5", over 300 pounds, and he has the kind of pass protection profile teams dream about. In his final season at Utah, he was extremely consistent, allowing almost nothing in pass protection. When you're talking about a young quarterback, that's gold. You cannot develop a passer if the pocket is falling apart. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think the highlight players are the only ones who matter, but quarterbacks know better. A receiver can be electric, but if the quarterback is getting hit before the route develops, it means nothing. A play caller can be creative, but if the offensive line cannot hold up, the whole play sheet shrinks. Fano gives Cleveland a chance to stabilize the front, and that's the first step in building around any quarterback, especially Shedeur.
Where I'm going in at? Oh yeah.
Oh, young man.
How you doing? Welcome back to the States.
How we doing, man?
Good.
Yeah, we tried to draft your ass last year. It's all worked out.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell you.
Someday we'll get a chance to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, sit down.
Then you add KC Concepcion, and now the plan gets even easier to see. KC is quick, he can run, he's a good route runner. He's not as small as he looks on TV, and people who have seen him in person have said he has more size than you expect. But the real value is how he fits. He can work the short and intermediate game. He can be used on quick throws, screens, motion, and space touches. That is exactly the type of receiver who helps a quarterback find rhythm, and the production backs up the talent. KC was not some mystery player. He already showed early in his college career that he could make plays right away. He produced as a freshman, earned major recognition, then went to a tougher environment and kept proving he could be used in different ways. Receiving production, rushing touches, all-purpose value, that matters. Todd Monken clearly likes players who can do more than one thing, but still fit a defined role. This is where it gets dangerous, because Monken's offense could be a much better fit for Shedeur than people realize. Chase Daniel even said Shedeur fits Monken better than he fits the old system. More spread looks, more space, more movement, more chances to see the field. Maybe some quarterback run elements, even if Shedeur isn't an elite athlete. The point is not turning him into Lamar Jackson. The point is to make the offense more comfortable and more modern, and that's what the Browns draft suggests. They're not drafting like a team with no clue. They're drafting like a team that knows what kind of offense it wants. When Mary Kay asked about another possible player, the response around Spencer Fano was direct. They wanted Spencer. No long excuses, no dancing around it. That matters because it shows confidence. It shows Todd Monken and the front office are not just reacting to the board, they're targeting fits. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Confidence in a draft room matters. When teams are unsure, they chase names. They panic. They jump around. They take players because other people like them. But Cleveland looked deliberate. Offensive tackle, receiver, build the offense. Give the quarterback a better chance. And if Shedeur is the guy they want to evaluate seriously, now he has fewer excuses and more support. Now the haters will say, why does everything have to be about Shedeur? And that is fair to ask. Not every move is only about one player. But when your draft starts with offensive tackle and wide receiver, and your biggest storyline is a young quarterback trying to prove he can become the future, people are naturally going to connect those dots. That does not mean the Browns are handing him the job. It means they are building a situation where he can actually compete for it. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They want the team to clear the path completely, but Shedeur does not need that. If he is really the guy, he should want the offense upgraded and the competition real. A better offensive line helps every quarterback. KC helps every quarterback. The system helps every quarterback. But if Shedeur is the one who takes command, then suddenly these draft picks become part of his story. And let's be honest, the Browns needed this kind of approach. For too long, the conversation around Cleveland has been chaotic. Quarterback drama, coaching questions, front office criticism, fan frustration, and constant negativity. But now there is at least a visible plan. They're not asking the defense to win every game 13-10. They're trying to lift the offense just enough to make the whole team dangerous. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Cleveland does not need Shedeur to become Superman immediately. They need him to be efficient. They need him to avoid disasters. They need him to use the weapons. They need him to take what is there. If the defense is as strong as people think and the offense can score around 3 touchdowns, this team can compete. That is why the draft matters. It raises the offensive floor. But this is also where the pressure starts building, because if you draft protection and weapons, then the quarterback has to show something. If Shedeur gets real reps behind a better line, with KC creating separation and Monken calling a more flexible offense, then the excuses shrink. Fans will want results. Analysts will want results. The front office will want results. And if he shows he can handle it, the whole narrative flips. This is where it gets dangerous, because if Shedeur starts clicking in this offense, the people who laughed at the idea of Cleveland building around him are going to have to walk back a lot of takes. They said it was just fan noise. They said the Browns were not thinking that way. They said Shedeur was not the plan. But if the offense suddenly looks designed to maximize him, then what are they going to say? Todd Monken's role is the key to all of this. He is not just calling plays, he's shaping identity. His job is to take these pieces and turn them into something clear. Use Fano to stabilize protection. Use KC to create easy touches. Use the run game to control tempo. Use formations that make reads cleaner. Use motion and spacing to help the quarterback. That is how you build an offense that lets a young passer grow without without drowning. And that is why experts are pushing back against the haters, because the criticism only makes sense if you ignore the structure. If you look at each pick alone, maybe you can nitpick. Fano is not flashy. KC has questions. Shedeur still has to prove it. But when you put it all together, the direction is obvious. The Browns are not just stacking random talent, they're building a support system. Here's the part nobody is talking about. This also protects the front office. If Shedeur fails in a bad situation, nobody learns anything. But if he gets protection, weapons, and a real offensive plan, then Cleveland can make a cleaner decision. Either he's the guy or he's not. That is how smart teams evaluate quarterbacks. They don't throw them into broken offenses and then act shocked when things go wrong. The legacy angle here is big. If this works, people are going to look back at this draft as the moment the Browns finally stopped treating offense like an afterthought. They got the tackle, they got the receiver, they trusted Monken's vision, they gave Shedeur a real runway. And if that leads to wins, this draft becomes more than just a class. It becomes the turning point. But if it fails, the criticism will be brutal, because once the plan is visible, the results have to follow. If Fano struggles, if KC doesn't clean up the details, if Shedeur can't separate, if the offense still can't score, then all the hype turns into evidence against them. That is the risk. Cleveland is putting its cards on the table, and now everybody can see them. So now the debate starts. Did Todd Monken and Andrew Berry just execute a draft built for Shedeur Sanders' success? Or are fans and analysts reading too much into offensive picks that any team would make? Because if Shedeur becomes the guy behind Spencer Fano, while KC turns into his quick game weapon, the haters are going to have a long season of explaining themselves. But if the offense still stalls, then this whole built for Shedeur theory might become another painful Browns dream that never made it past the summer.